This decade saw Hollywood overcome the Great Depression to begin its golden age.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today, in this installment of our series on the greatest movies of all time, we're counting down our picks for the top 10 movies of the 1930s.
Rinspot, one shot, two shot, zigzag, zag, pop, die, can you get 10 light half, hair him, scare him, mites and tear him, tear, tore. I did it wrong.
For our series of the best movies of all time, we've chosen 10 movies per decade based on their iconic status, critical acclaim, box office success, and watchability. And just so you know, we're not necessarily choosing the movies your film studies professor would pick. So sit back and relax as we follow the yellow brick road, bunk with some dwarves, and watch the monsters take over.
It's alive! Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Number 10, Frankenstein.
No!
This Universal Pictures landmark is considered one of the best horror movies ever made, and that's even among folks who aren't 100 years old. Most people are familiar with Frankenstein's monster, as it's Boris Karloff's version of Mary Shelley's horror monster in this movie, and its sequels that made him famous the world over.
It's Frankenstein. That way!
Acclaimed for its creativity in the horror genre, Universal's Frankenstein is famous for the genuine scares it still delivers to this day.
Wow.
Number 9, All Quiet on the Western Front.
I wonder what you are going to do.
I'll go. I want to go. Count on me.
Me too.
If the Nazis hated the film, it must have been great. Depicting the grim hardships of World War I, the movie follows a group of young men facing the transition into war-hardened soldiers.
Forget what you've been and what you think you're going to be. You're going to be soldiers, and that's all.
Credited with establishing film standards for the depiction of war, it influenced future directors like Steven Spielberg in their representations of battle. Winning 2 Oscars and claiming a spot as one of the greatest American epics, All Quiet on the Western Front is an anti-war pioneer.
You asked me to tell them how much they're needed out there. He tells you, go out and die. Oh, but if you pardon me, it's easier to say go out and die than it is to do it.
Driver, are these seats reserved?
No, first come, first served.
Number 8, It Happened One Night.
Hey, driver, these seats accommodate 2 people, don't they? Well, maybe they do and maybe they don't. Thank you.
Everyone likes a good romantic comedy, even if they claim they don't. And in the 1930s, it didn't hurt to have Clark Gable as headliner. He plays a reporter who crosses paths with a bride on the run from her overbearing father in this screwball Frank Capra romp.
What are you talking about?
I said you'd never get away with it. Your father will stop you before you get halfway to New York.
After a slow start commercially, the film eventually became the first to sweep the 5 major Academy Awards categories.
There's no end to your accomplishments, isn't there?
Number 7, Stagecoach.
If there's anything I don't like, it's driving a stagecoach through Apache country.
Set in the 1880s, this John Ford classic follows a band of travelers who board a stagecoach headed for New Mexico. The group includes a sheriff, a prostitute, and a criminal on the run, played by a young John Wayne.
Saw a ranch house burning last night.
As the Voyagers make their way across rugged terrain, they face a number of obstacles, including the threat of attack from Apache natives. It's an iconic Western from top to bottom, and one that took home 2 Oscars.
I'll buy you a drink.
Just one.
Number 6, King Kong. Noted for its stop-motion animation and its incredible story, King Kong is a cultural landmark. The plot follows a film crew as they adventure to an unknown island, where they encounter, capture, and transport a colossal gorilla.
He's always been king of his world, but we'll teach him fear. We're millionaires, boys. I'll share it with all of you.
The great ape is doomed from then on, living one last hurrah atop the Empire State Building. Since special effects awards did not exist, Kong was not nominated for any Oscars. But its significance in the fantasy monster adventure genre cannot be denied.
Oh, no. It wasn't the airplanes. It was beauty killed the beast.
Hi-ho! Hi-ho!
Number 5. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Hi-ho! Hi-ho! It's home from work we go. Hi-ho! Hi-ho! Hi-ho!
Live-action movies weren't the only ones making a splash in the 30s. This was Disney's first foray into full-length movies, having previously only made shorts.
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
Following the German fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm, the story centers on a princess and her evil stepmother's murderous jealousy. It became a humongous hit globally, raking in millions at the box office. But Snow White also paved the way for animation and the fantasy genre, and won Walt Disney an honorary Academy Award. Number 4. Modern Times. Although it's a comedy featuring Charlie Chaplin's famous tramp, Modern Times is also laced with social commentary, despite being almost completely silent. Centering on an unemployed factory worker and his female counterpart, the film depicts their attempts to find and maintain work while staying out of jail. The film stirred up controversy with its critical depiction of industry. However, it resonated with audiences and critics alike, as it spoke to the issues associated with navigating the Great Depression. Number 3. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Jefferson Smith.
I beg your pardon?
Jefferson Smith. He's the only senator to have.
Sure. He ought to be president. I like Jeff Smith.
Touching on the theme of corruption in the U.S. government, this political Frank Capra comedy drama caused an uproar. As a somewhat naive junior senator, Jimmy Stewart's Mr. Smith filibusters for a full 24 hours to defend his name and convince those on the Senate floor of his innocence.
And I hate to stand here and try your patience like this, but either I'm dead right or I'm crazy.
The depiction of a scheming, underhanded branch of government did not sit well with many U.S. politicians at the time. Even so, Mr. Smith was nominated for 11 Academy Awards, winning 1.
Somebody will listen to me.
Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Number 2. The Wizard of Oz.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
Piggybacking off the success of Snow White, The Wizard of Oz was met with critical acclaim upon its release, but slowly trudged towards commercial success.
Put 'em up, put 'em up!
In all its Technicolor glory, the movie follows Dorothy Gale's adventures through a fictitious land and her journey back to Kansas.
There's no place like home.
For all its glitter, pizzazz, and ageless music, The Wizard has become one of the most famous films ever made, thanks to L. Frank Baum's timeless story, which makes a child of us all.
Why can't
Before we unveil our pick for Best Movie of the 1930s, here are a few honorable mentions.
I am Dracula.
Is it 'cause I done a bad thing?
That don't make no difference.
You understand that if you do not obey my order now, I'll have to shoot.
My dear, don't you know? That's Red Butler. He's from Charleston. He has a most terrible reputation.
Number 1, Gone with the Wind.
He looks as if he knows what I look like without my shimmy.
How?
Set in the war-torn South during the Civil War, the film focuses on young Scarlett O'Hara as she navigates her romantic life as her home is ravaged by conflict.
Miss Scarlett
us powerful hungry. We've got to have something to eat.
Oh, hush up.
With a runtime that exceeds 220 minutes, the film was one of the longest to that point. While it's since been accused of historical revisionism, Gone with the Wind was rewarded for its ambition with a record number of Academy Awards, including an historic Oscar for African-American actress Hattie McDaniel.
Come on in here! Come on!
Do you agree with our list? What's your favorite movie of the 30s? For more thrilling top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.